Hey guys, welcome to another Monday. Hope you guys are starting your week off right. And welcome to a brand new segment we're going to try here called Refueled. We realize that we have been putting out Fueled by Deathcast now for over almost 4 years, and have talked to so many amazing people and so many cool little bits there that maybe you saw and forgot about, or maybe you've never seen before. So I thought this would be a really fun way to kind of revisit some of the guests, revisit some of the amazing things that we've done on Fueled by Deathcast. And also, while this is happening, I'm going to try and be in those comments as well. And, give you guys a little bit of behind the scenes of recording with some of these people and all that. And if you guys are brand new and you don't know what I'm talking about, you're like, what the hell is all of this? Fueled by Deathcast, which is right there. That is the podcast that we do here at Deathwish Coffee every single week, every Thursday. I come out with a brand new episode with a brand new guest, sometimes a repeat guest. I've had a couple repeats, which is really awesome. But it comes out every single Thursday on all your favorite channels, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and also you can find everything at deathwishcoffee.com/deathcast. Now, this week, the first ever Refueled, we're going to look back at episode 102, which was, 80 episodes ago at this point. That's just crazy. And that one features a comedian you may have heard of by the name of Bill Burr. And you can find that whole episode, again, on Fueled by Deathcast on Spotify, on Apple, but also on deathwishcoffee.com/Burr. And the reason why I thought it would be cool to start off with Bill is not only was it awesome to talk to him, but he has two things that premiered just this last week into this week, which is crazy, right? First of all, I don't know if you guys are fans of animation or anything, but his animated Netflix series, F is for Family, Season 4, dropped on Netflix last Friday. And I was so excited because that was a lot of fun. The first 3 seasons, and it's just one of those, it's about, basically it's loosely based on his life, but not really, but it's about, a family in the 70s, and it's pandemonium, and the cast is amazing. Another thing that Bill had coming out last week was The King of Staten Island, the Judd Apatow, Pete Davidson movie that premiered, I believe, everywhere video on demand. It was supposed to have a theatrical release, but obviously movies are still coming back little by little. And in that, it again, it's a loosely biographical piece about Pete Davidson, and his mother, who is played by Marissa Tomei, actually starts dating a firefighter who's played by Bill Burr. So Bill Burr's got a movie and a television show out in the same week. So he's having a hell of a week. So I thought I'd celebrate by reliving some of my favorite moments from when he was on this podcast. Now, let me get rid of all of these. Boop, 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 boop. And I just want to let you guys know, first, I'm going to show you a clip from that episode where Dustin and I got to talk with Bill about F is for Family, about creating F is for Family, about what it's like to get in that vocal booth, and the incredible cast that they have. Laura Dern, Justin Long, Sam Rockwell, Bill Kuckner, so many people. It's incredible, and it was really cool to hear right from Bill Burr about how he created the show and what it's like to work on the show. And without further ado, let's watch that clip.
I just like making people laugh. And when I got into the animated world, and then also telling it serialized, which means one episode leads into the next, the whole Netflix style, I enjoy working with other people. I just like the whole thing, because it's not really like this. It's not all my stories. And like, Frank isn't my dad. He's just an amalgam of everybody's dad in the writer's room. So, and it's not like I'm literally animating stories from my childhood. It's the tone. It's a little vignette that happened, but at this point, I mean, we're in the 3rd season, so these characters, they take on a life of their own, and I would actually say Sue, Frank's wife, that Laura Dern plays, is probably more like two of the other guys' moms in the room than my mom. My mom wasn't nearly as emotional as Sue is, but Frank is a lot like my dad in that if something happens, he would flip out. But my dad didn't work at an airport, and all this other dreams of flying and all that. That's just the stuff that you make up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do you ever listen back and get reminded of your father? Like, oh, that's exactly what he sounded like.
There's a couple little catchphrases in there that like I guess if somebody says something, oh bullshit, that's him. I'll put you through that fucking wall was him. I can't really, I don't know, it all blurs together, but a lot of it is Mike's dad. There's a guy, David Richardson, there's a lot of him in there, and then Emily Towers, who kills me. We lost her. She's now writing on Family Guy, which is another one of my favorite shows. So I thought that was pretty cool that Family Guy picked up one of our writers and lets me know they're doing something right over there, because that show's awesome. There was a lot, like she was huge in the writer's room, where there was like a lot of tone I felt came from her stories. She was someone that we met, and it was funny when we were picking writers. People, hey, talk about your childhood, and if it was nice, we were just like, all right, see you later. Like, yeah, this kid used to throw me down the stairs every day, and the teachers would laugh and they would do everything. I was like, all right,
you're in.
All right, write something to come in the room. So she knocked us out with her ideas and stuff. So I mean, yeah, it's every once in a while I'll watch something. And the example I always use is if the first season, when little Bill is up in the tree and the big kids are throwing shit at him, that happened to me. Like that happened to me and a friend of mine. We were just climbing a tree. Now, the kids didn't throw fireworks. That was the animated, exaggerated thing. But we were just climbing up this tree, and these big kids came along, saw us up there, and they just started throwing rocks at us until they got tired. And we were just up there hanging on, like, crying.
Oh, my
twisted.
God. Do you guys record like an old-time radio show? Do you record together, or is it separate?
Well, I mean, there's not like somebody in there making like the thunder and lightning sound. Let me tell you something, see? No, whenever we can, we try and and I find a lot of the people that are more from the acting world want to be in the booth and be looking at somebody. Like Sam likes that. Justin Long is such like when Justin does Kevin and he makes the face like, wasn't doing anything. He's so committed and he has this look on his face. I honestly, he's a guy I can't look at when the rare times, because he lives on the East Coast. So unfortunately I haven't been able to get in the booth this past season with him. Laura Dern likes to do it like that. Vince likes to do it like that. And, for someone like me, I was, coming as a stand-up comedian, it was intimidating to get in there, sink or swim or whatever. So I just committed to what I was doing. And after a while, you just realize, oh, they're just going to be playing off what I'm doing. And, it's not going to be that stand-up comedy thing where if you're bombing, someone's going to yell, you suck. Like it's like the acting world is a lot more, I guess I get in that world it's healthier.
Yeah.
Did you do any voice acting before this?
Not really. I mean, there was a guy, his name escapes me.
Grand Theft Auto, though, right?
Grand Theft Auto, but that was one of those deals where we got hooked up because I was on the Opie and Anthony show. Right. He was friends with them, and so I had a couple of guys like, hey, shut the fuck up. I mean, just had a couple lines like that. It wasn't like I was one of the main characters. I was like, I think a biker in one of them, but he's just a fun guy that when you go on a rampage and you want to run somebody over in a car, that was me.
That was so cool. It was so cool hearing him talk so much more about creating the show and creating everything to do with, like the ideas of this, because like he had this idea with a buddy of his, and then it turned into a writer's room. Then it turned into a real deal with a cast and a crew. And now, 4 seasons later, it's still going strong. And it is, like I said in those comments, it has quickly become one of my favorite Netflix originals. It's absolutely crazy. If you haven't checked it out, go check that out. Finally here, as a special treat for all you guys watching, I wanted to show you one of my favorite clips from this episode that actually intercuts with another episode from Fueled by Deathcast. So before we had Bill Burr on this show, we had on Dave Kushner. Now, you might know Dave Kushner as one of the guitarists in the supergroup Velvet Revolver. Dave also does a lot of music for TV, and Dave actually does all the music for F is for Family. The second time we had Dave Kushner on the show, we were talking about working with on F is for Family and working with Bill Burr. And Dave told this story about how he coerced Bill to play drums with him for a charity event, and because Bill's a drummer, and he didn't tell him that also going to be playing with them was going to be Slash and Duff from Guns N' Roses. So when we had Bill on the show, we wanted to get his take on this story as well. So I'm going to play you the full edited version of the story of Bill Burr playing drums with Slash and Duff and Dave Kushner from Guns N' Roses and Velvet Revolver, from both Dave and Bill, and how much fun this actually was. So here's a little piece of little known rock and roll history, and it bridges some comedy as well. So here's that. When we went out and talked with Dave, he was talking about how he surprised you at a show once, having you play drums, and did not tell you that he was going to bring Slash and Duff from Guns N' Roses on stage until you actually were on stage with them. And we got his side of the story of that, of how he surprised you with that. But, like, what was going through your head as, like you said, just, a comedian just having a good time playing some drums, and literally Slash walks on stage? Like, how does that even translate?
Oh, well, to give people a backstory, I was going to play Highway to Hell. Dave's always doing benefits. Him and his wife are very, they're just awesome people. So it was a benefit for this school.
So my kid goes to public school, and every year, before I started at the public school, my friend Donovan would put together a band, like an all-star band, to play for the parents at the beginning of every year to get them into fundraising and all this kind of shit.
Smart.
So I did it then because I grew up in LA. I went to public school, and it's specifically to fund the art and music and library and gym teachers at the school. Like, that money pays for that stuff at this school up in Laurel Canyon. And so I was like, I'm totally into it. I'll play, whatever.
And it was way up in the Hollywood Hills, so high up you could see the valley and you could see, Hollywood, which was incredible.
Whoa.
And so then it became my job to put together the band to play the parents thing.
Fundraiser.
Wow. So the first year I had to bring the band in. I brought Slash and Duff, right?
Why not?
Why not, right? Yeah.
So we're up there, and he goes, come up during the day, we'll run the song. So we play Highway to Hell, it's straightforward type of thing. No crazy fills. Phil Rudd, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, at first I asked him, he's like, oh, yeah, I'll do it. And then, it came close. It was Thursday, and I'm like, dude, you want to do it? And he's like, oh, yeah, he gets nervous. He's like, I don't want to embarrass myself. I'm like, dude, you'll be fine. Yeah, I know you can do it.
Yeah.
You can come to sound check. You can play, blah, blah.
Right.
He's like, all right, cool. He comes to sound check, and Cheney's playing bass, and me and Andrew are playing guitar. Frankie sings.
So I sit down, we knock it out, and he goes, sound good? I say, yeah, sounds good, man. That's how I'm going to play it.
And I didn't tell him that I was going to have Duff and Slash play on that song instead of Chris and Andrew. I didn't tell him.
On purpose?
Yeah. And so, because I didn't want him to get freaked out, and I wanted him to do it.
Right.
So that night I show up, and the real drummer, he plays with Blue Man Group, reading charts. This guy's a player.
Yeah.
He's in the business, right? So I'm going, all right, I'm probably going to go up third, fourth song in. Let's get the jerk-off comedian out of the way. And I see I'm third to last song. So that was the first point where I was just like, this doesn't make any sense. And then I'm watching them play The Who, and this guy on drums is doing all the Keith Moon shit. And he's crushing it. And I'm like, why are they having me go on after this? This doesn't make any sense. Is Dave breaking my balls here?
And so I see Bill, and he comes up, and he kind of sneaks during, right before that song. He sneaks on, he's sitting at the drum set, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna introduce my friend, Bill Burr, blah blah, playing drums. And
so finally, they play the song, finish the song before me, and I literally sneak up onto stage.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, hey, ladies and gentlemen, we have a guest going to sit in on drums, stand-up comedian. Please welcome Bill Burr. And I got like the golf clap, like nobody knows who I am. And whatever, playing drums, you can hide behind the cymbals and shit if I screw it up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, and then I have 2 other guests, and it turns out that Slash went to that elementary school when he was a kid.
Oh,
my
weird.
gosh.
Which I didn't know till that night.
Oh my god!
And so then
Alumni.
And as he's introing me, I see people are just walking off the stage. It was only the bass player and another guitar player, I believe, walked off. But in my world, it was like 10 people walked off stage. I was like, what's going on? And he goes, and we got another couple special guests. So immediately I'm thinking like, wait, what's going on here? We didn't rehearse this because I'm outside my comfort zone. Drums is a hobby, obviously. So he goes, please welcome from Guns N' Roses, Duff McKagan and Slash. And I was like, what the fuck? And I just saw him coming up.
So then I introduce them, and so they start walking up, and I look back, dude, and I see he just was like, like literally just had his head down.
Yes.
And we talked afterwards, and he's like, dude, I just couldn't even lift my head up, because if I did, I would just become a fucking teenage kid again.
The only way to describe them, it was like 2 giant redwoods. They just looked, that's what I kept thinking. It was like giants, like in my mind. And I was sitting down looking up at them. Duff is tall anyways, and I think Slash is a little bit taller than I am. And they just looked gigantic to me. That's all I remember. And I'd met Duff once at the Comedy Store, and he's just like, hey man, how you doing? Shakes my hand. Slash shakes, and you don't understand like how big Guns N' Roses was to me.
We went to dinner one night, and then we talked about it, because he's a massive Guns N' Roses fan.
Yeah.
And he talked about how when he was a teenager, he used to play along with Appetite front to back.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Like fucking the whole thing.
I was like the first guy in my group of friends that were like, you got to check out this band. Like one of my big credits in my early adulthood was, dude, Burr was listening to these guys in '87, because it didn't come out until '88. And that was like, that was an IMDb credit for me. So, and I used to jam all the time in my parents' basement, and we used to play Highway to Hell. And we used to play Guns N' Roses stuff. We used to play Welcome to the Jungle. We played My Michelle, Mr. Brownstone, and all that. I remember one of my brothers would be standing here playing guitar. And my other brother would be standing there playing bass. And we play Guns N' Roses, and we play Highway to Hell. Now here I am, 30 years in the future, playing Highway to Hell that I used to play with my brothers. And instead of my brother John there, it's Duff. Instead of Philip, it's Slash.
Oh my god.
And then Kushner's there. So essentially you have the entire
Velvet Revolver.
Revolver, right? And I'm Matt Sorum now. So this all goes through my head in like 0.8 seconds.
Right.
However long it takes someone to walk on stage, say hello, and then just Slash turns around and just goes, ba-na-na, da-na-na. Dude, I literally couldn't feel my legs. Da-na-na, 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 da-na-na. I'm like, what? It was nuts.
So he played, but he just like was looking down the whole time.
Oh, man.
And I'm like turning around, like looking at him like, dude, you're in Velvet Revolver.
You're killing it.
Yeah. And he just like looked up for a second. He like had this big grin on his face. And
I mean, Kushner and Frankie kept turning around. They just kept looking at my face, laughing at me. So the song ends. There's it stops, Highway to Hell, and I'm going down all the way. And then they got to turn around and look at the drummer to start the cymbal wash. And that was the time when Duff and Slash all turned around and look at me, and I was just like, oh my God, they're looking. I almost forgot what I was supposed to do. And then fortunately I got out of it. And then I got off stage, and then they played another 2 Guns N' Roses songs with the real drummer who crushed it. And I got off. I was walking away, and Duff came up to me and he said, hey man, he goes, Slash really liked you playing. And I was like, get the fuck out of here, get out of here. I figured he knew I was a comic, but he didn't know, he had no idea who I was. And he said, yeah, he liked your playing. So I was like, oh my God, it's the greatest night ever. I got to meet him. He was cool as shit. I said, hey, I'm actually a stand-up comic. And he laughed. He goes, well, you should play drums, man. You sounded good. So I am like at this point floating. So then I leave the venue because the show's over, and I do the most un-rock and roll thing ever. I get into a Prius and drive down the hill, literally screaming.
He gets in his car. He had a Prius at the time. He pulls out like
Remember him talking about that.
his Prius.
Yeah. How do you fit your drums in a Prius, by the way?
Oh, they were like, I was sitting in somebody else's drum kit.
Oh, yeah, of
I
course.
went
Can't
down
fit drums in a
there
Prius.
Screaming like some little schoolgirl who got to see Elvis. And I went down to the Comedy Store, went out back because I was meeting my buddy Joe Bartnick to smoke a cigar. And I was telling them the story, and they were just all jaws on the ground.
Someone had given me a video of it, right?
Okay.
So it's basically him playing with Slash and Duff, and
Right.
and so I sent him the video.
Yeah.
And so he's at the Comedy Store, he gets the video, and he's just like, and they were like, hey, so are you gonna go up? He's like, nope, I'm not gonna fuck this up. This is like the best evening of my life. The fucking greatest thing has happened to me in the last 23 years, and I'm not gonna fuck it up by going on stage and fucking ruin this high.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So he's just like showing guys, other comedians backstage the video of him playing with Duff and
That's
Slash.
so funny.
I remember when I walked in the Comedy Store, like, hey, Bill, you want to go on stage? I was like, no, I don't. No, I don't. I ain't going to top that. So I went in the back and I smoked a cigar. And as I told him, Dave sent me some video of it, and they were all like blown away. It was like one of those nights you didn't want to end. So at 2 a.m, I get in my Prius and I go to leave. I'm like, this is the greatest night ever. So I'm pulling out of the Comedy Store, and I had to stop because of traffic. And as I stop, I hear a knock on my window, and I look over, drop dead gorgeous woman. I'm like, this is just the greatest night ever. I'm going to roll down the window. She's going to be like, oh my God, I'm such a fan. I can't believe I missed you tonight, blah, blah. Dude, I roll the window down. She's hammered. She sticks her head like 3/4 of her body into the window. She just goes, are you Felipe, our Uber driver? And I just laughed. I go, no. Then it registered. She's looking at my, Irish mixed face. I'm as far from a Felipe as possible. I go, no, I'm not. She kind of laughed, and I laughed, and that was the moment. I turned back into a pumpkin, and then I drove home in my Prius, and that was it.
How crazy was that? Like, I remember when Dave told me that story to begin with, I was like, that is the craziest story in the world. Never knowing that I was even going to get Bill on the show. And obviously had to bring it up to Bill because I wanted his other side of it. And it's just so much fun. Speaking of fun, I hope you guys had fun with this brand new take here on a little refueled, our new segment where we're going to look at, episodes. If you guys have favorite episodes, hit up Fueled by Deathcast, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, let me know. I can always pull clips from the archives, maybe find some that never actually aired. I'm going to be doing that in future episodes too. And just have some fun with you guys because, I love having fun with you guys. One more time for anybody who didn't hear me at the beginning. Fueled by Deathcast is our every Thursday podcast. Comes out on Spotify, comes out on Apple, and also can be found at deathwishcoffee.com/deathcast. That episode, the clips that you just saw were just the tip of the iceberg talking to Bill Burr. Dustin and I had an incredible conversation about comedy, life, what fuels him, and more. And you can find that, again, Spotify, Apple, and also at deathwishcoffee.com/BURR. I hope this brought a smile to your face on this Monday, and it'll keep you going through the rest of the week. As always, love you guys. Stay caffeinated, mugs up, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.